All right, if you live in San Diego, you have solar panels, and you just opened your latest SDG&E bill, this is for you. I'm going to tell you right now, your system isn't broken. The rules just got completely flipped on their head. So let's dive in and figure out how to make your solar investment actually work for you again.
Yeah, let's just start with that one word, ouch. Because that's the feeling, right? You open that bill, you see the number, and you realize all that solar credit you thought you were racking up, it's just gone. It is a total gut punch. And trust me, you are not the only one feeling it.
You look up at those beautiful panels on your roof, and suddenly the whole thing just feels, well, kind of dumb. It's so frustrating. But hang in there. In this explainer, we're going to cut through all the confusion, give you the real hard numbers, and lay out a clear plan to fix this thing.
Okay, so first things first, we have to understand what in the world actually happened. NEM 3.0 wasn't some tiny little policy change. No, it was a complete demolition of the old way solar worked. The math has fundamentally changed.
Now, look at this. Under the old rules, NEM 2.0, you were basically a power partner with the grid. You sent them power, they gave you a fair credit. It was a pretty good deal. But under NEM 3.0, it's a whole different story. Now, you're basically giving away your valuable solar power for pennies during the day, only to turn around and buy it back for a fortune during those peak hours from 4 to 9 p.m.
And that brings us to the new name of the game, self-consumption. This is everything. The entire system is now built to reward you for storing and using your own power. A battery isn't a cool accessory anymore, it's the missing piece of the puzzle. It lets you capture all that sunshine at 2 p.m. and use it at 7 p.m. when prices are sky high, basically telling SDG&E, no thanks, I got this.
Which of course leads us right to the big 5-figure question that every single solar owner is asking themselves right now. Let's not beat around the bush, let's get right into the numbers.
You've already got the panels up on the roof. You just want to add the battery to make the whole system smart again. So what's a battery-only retrofit really going to cost you here in San Diego?
Okay, there it is. The sticker shock. I know. Take a second. But whatever you do not panic and do not click away. This number, the gross price you'll see on a proposal, is not the number you should be focusing on. It's not what you're actually going to pay out of pocket.
And this is why. The 30% federal tax credit is your new best friend. It absolutely applies to adding a battery to an existing solar system, and it's a direct dollar-for-dollar reduction of what you owe in taxes. So that scary $17,000 project, it instantly becomes a much more realistic $11,900. This is the real number to think about.
So, where's all that money going? Well, it's not just for a big box of batteries. About 60% of it is, the battery hardware itself. But then you've got the brain, the smart system that directs all the energy traffic. Plus, you have the certified electricians doing the work, and all the permits and fees with the city and the utility. It all adds up. And I know what you're probably thinking. Hey, what about those big California rebates I heard about? Well, here's the tough truth. For most homeowners, that money is pretty much gone. The wait list is gigantic. So unless you happen to qualify for some very specific programs, you should just plan on the 30% federal credit being the main incentive you'll get. All right, we've talked cost. Now let's talk about how to avoid some really expensive mistakes. Seriously, making the right choices here can save you thousands of dollars. Let's go through the biggest pitfalls people fall into.
First up, this idea that you need a gigantic battery, one that could power your house through a week-long blackout. For fixing your NEM 3.0 bill, that is completely the wrong way to think, and it's just a huge waste of money.
Listen, your goal here is not to survive the zombie apocalypse. It's something called time shifting. You just need to store enough of your free daytime solar power to get you through that crazy expensive 4 to 9 p.m. window. That's it. For most homes, a 10 to 13.5 kilowatt-hour battery is the absolute sweet spot. Anything bigger just murders your return on investment for very little gain. Now this is probably the most common, the most painful, and the most avoidable surprise cost in this whole process. It's the little details some installers might forget to bring up right away. So here's the deal. Your home's main electrical panel, your breaker box, might not be big enough to handle a battery. The fix is called a main panel upgrade, or an MPU, and it can tack on thousands to your bill out of nowhere. So here's the solution. You need to ask every single installer this exact question. Does your quote include the cost of a main panel upgrade if it turns out I need one? Their answer will tell you everything you need to know about how transparent they're being.
Okay, so you know the real costs, and you know what mistakes to avoid. Now, let's turn all that information into real power. Here's a super simple 3-step action plan to make sure you get the right system at the right price.
First, do this tonight. Log into your SDG&E account and find something called Green Button Data. This will show you exactly how much electricity you use during that 4 to 9 p.m. peak. That number is your target. Second, be really clear on your goal. Is it all about saving money, or is having backup power during an outage important to you? And finally, go into those conversations armed with a few killer questions about the tech, that MPU we just talked about, and the warranties. You'll sound like you've done this a dozen times.
And that brings us to the ultimate question, right? With a real net cost of around 12 grand, is adding a battery to your system actually worth it? Let's run the numbers and find out.
Just look at this simple breakdown. If you do nothing, you're looking at a net loss of almost $4 a day just from buying back expensive power. But with a battery, you use your own stored power, which costs you $0, and you still make a little extra. That's a total swing of over $4 in your favor every single day.
And when you do that math, that daily savings adds up to a payback period of right around 7 or 8 years. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not the 3-year gold rush that old solar was. And you're right. But think about it this way. A 7.8-year payback is like getting a guaranteed, tax-free return on your money of about 12% a year. I mean, where else are you going to find a safe investment like that? And here's the kicker. Every single time SG&E raises their rates, your payback period gets shorter and your return gets even better.
Which really brings us to the final verdict. Under these new rules, a battery is not an optional extra. It's not a luxury. It is, quite simply, part 2 of your solar system. The panels were part 1. The battery is what makes the whole thing work again.
And you know, the true value here goes way beyond just the return on investment. It's about ending that feeling of dread when 4 p.m. rolls around. It's about the peace of mind of knowing you're running your home on your own clean power. It's about finally achieving real energy independence.
So, you've seen the problem, you've seen the real cost, and you've seen the solution. You know the payback math. The only question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. What is taking back control of your power actually worth to you?